When I was a kid, there was nothing I hated more than Five Nights at Freddy's. Back then, I was scared really easily, I still am actually, so the popularity of the FNAF franchise was not something I enjoyed at all. I hated hearing about these animatronic freaks all the time. You've got to understand, I was scared of the Ice Age 4 DVD menu at the time. Of course Freddy Fazbear terrified me. I mentioned this in my video about childhood YouTubers, though that video wasn't very good, so I'll mention it again here. But one time as a kid, I'm pretty sure I went through sleep paralysis that involved Freddy Fazbear. I literally felt him on top of me after waking up from a nightmare where he and Chica were showing me the Xfinity Channels guide for some reason. Now that I'm older, I think that Xfinity being there was the scariest part of that dream. I recently found this thing I wrote for school about how much I hated FNAF, and I actually mentioned this incident here, which is good because I was kind of starting to think that I made it all up. Anyways, if you're a regular viewer of my channel, then you're probably well aware of the fact that my opinions on FNAF have changed quite a lot. I've literally referenced the franchise in every single scripted video I've ever made, and I'm not planning on stopping that anytime soon. I really like Five Nights at Freddy's now, something that can be inferred by my lack of social life, and because of how much I like it, it's been my dream to see Freddy Fazbear in real life. In case you couldn't tell, my dreams aren't particularly exciting. Something that some of you might not know, however, is that Freddy has been brought to life multiple times. You see, over the years, 5 different FNAF haunted houses have been made. One would assume that these houses would get a lot of publicity, since they're based on one of the biggest horror franchises ever, and yet I barely see anyone talk about most of them, with the exception of some YouTube videos here and there. Since these houses are pretty obscure, I'll be talking about them in this video, in order to hopefully bring more attention to them, because I think they're pretty interesting. Enough wasting time though, let's get started with
Freddy's friends can be a bit active. Don't be afraid though, they just like to say hi.
Absurd.
The first Five Nights at Freddy's haunted house was actually inside of the Adventure Dome, a building located in Las Vegas, which, you know, is already pretty scary. During the spooky season, the Adventure Dome would hold an event that was cleverly called the Fright Dome, which is where Freddy Fazbear comes in. The FNAF haunted house was open from September 30th to October 31st of 2016, and apparently Scott Coffin, creator of Freddy Fazbear himself, visited it 3 times. That one photo of him a lot of people used was actually taken here at the Fright Dome. Even Corey X Kenshin went to this attraction. You might know him as a taxi driver from the FNAF movie. He also has a YouTube channel with 23 million subscribers, but I think the taxi driver thing is more important.
Why do I always get the weirdos?
The Fright Dome channel posted a video advertising this house, but in the title, they accidentally put an apostrophe on the word Nights instead of Freddy's. Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder. To start talking about the actual haunted house itself though, the first thing I want to say is that the sets are quite good and relatively accurate to the first game, with the exception of these weird pizza boxes. This attraction had a budget of $10,000, so I'm kind of impressed with what they managed to pull off with that. The addition of the game's ambient noises was nice as well. They helped make the atmosphere feel more spooky. There is this one part where you walk past a strange ball pit as distorted music plays in the background, which just isn't in any of the games. What is this, Freddy? I'm scared. Near the end of the house, there's a solid 10 seconds of just walking through curtains, which I feel is kind of unnecessary. I don't know if these are here for technical reasons, but surely there's better things to put here than curtains. The low budget of the attraction kind of becomes more obvious when taking a look at the animatronic costumes, because they do not look particularly great. I'm gonna be honest here, they scare me more than the in-game animatronic designs. Sure, they can be kind of scary when they're under certain lighting and hitting a weird pose, but other than that, the FNAF 1 animatronics do not scare me. I know, I'm very brave. Get that menu away from me, please. These costumes are accurate enough to look like the characters, but inaccurate enough to look somewhat uncanny, almost like they're one of those Mandela Catalog alternates. This is a second video in a row where I've referenced the Mandela Catalog. I've never even watched it before, it's too scary. There's a statue of Chica in here though, and it does look nice, so good job I guess. One part of the house constantly plays really short snippets of FNAF 1 jump scares, which I find really funny, and for whatever reason, there's a poster of Toy Freddy near the end, even though this is supposed to be based on the first game. Now that's just embarrassing, am I right guys? This is why I don't get invited to things, isn't it? In the POV I watched, there weren't any actors jump scaring people, since apparently it was taken before the house officially opened, but actors were present after the official opening. There was a security guard warning guests about how terrifying Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is, another security guard that was wearing purple, and even the puppet. Again, this is meant to be based on the first game. Why is a puppet here? Why is Toy Freddy here? I don't like him, I don't like any of them! Overall, I think the Fright Dome Haunted House was a pretty good first attraction for FNAF. Sure, it was pretty low budget, but I think it's important to remember that this was made only 2 years after the first game came out. It's unrealistic to expect a whole movie-sized budget for this thing. And again, I think what they did with the budget was impressive, even if the costumes look kind of scuffed. Well, now that I'm done talking about the Fright Dome, I think it's time to move on to the weirdest house of the video.
And I don't like to play by the rules, so in my factory you will be doomed.
Did you guys know that there was a FNAF haunted house in Saudi Arabia? Well, don't bother answering, I can't actually hear you. In 2023, around the release of the first movie, another FNAF 1 themed house opened up in Riyadh City, Saudi Arabia. I really hope I pronounced that right, but I don't think I did. Now, here's the strange thing about this house. I'm not actually sure if it's official or not. None of the people or companies that have worked on a FNAF franchise in some way have ever said anything about it, making me think that it's not official, but I've also seen some people in the comment section of the MR Springs video about it, as well as some Redditors, say that it is official. However, I'm a little hesitant to take what somebody on Reddit says is fact, because, well, it's Reddit. I'll talk more about if I think the house is official or not later on though, because right now, I want to discuss the attraction itself. According to Bandon's video about this thing, recording wasn't allowed inside of the house, so it's kind of difficult to find a POV of it, but I thankfully found a video by the anime men that seems to show the whole thing. It's not exactly the ideal POV, since it's edited like a YouTube short and has the titular anime men screaming the whole time, but hey, they were having fun, and I can't get mad at fun. Like I said earlier, I think the FNAF house at a Fright Dome had some nice sets, but unfortunately, that's not exactly something I could say for this one. A lot of it looks nothing like a pizzeria. This one part where you need to go through a ball pit has wallpaper that looks like a mixture of the one found in FNAF 4 and the one found in a grandma's house. The costumes also look worse than the ones in the Fright Dome. I actually like this Foxy costume, but the Freddy one here looks like a Funko Pop, and the animatronics on stage all look really funny. There's this one part where Foxy is tearing down a door, and it looks really unnatural because Foxy does not have this level of mobility. At one point, the FNAF movie opening theme starts playing, so that's kind of cool, I guess. I'm trying to say something nice because I've been very mean to this house. I'm sure going to there in person was fun, but seeing it on video makes all the issues pretty apparent. That being said, all the actors here did a great job, and they really added some life to this attraction. There's this Reddit post by a now deleted user that shows some photos from the house, and I want to quickly talk about them because they show stuff not seen in the anime men's video. The first photo is of Bonnie and you know, Scott Cawthon has said that while making the first FNAF game, Bonnie constantly gave him nightmares, and I always thought that was kind of weird. I mean, he's Bonnie, look how silly he is. But after seeing this, yeah, this thing's gonna be in my dreams. The second picture has Shadow Bonnie in it because why not? And I assume this one is some kind of behind the scenes photo since it doesn't look like anything that would be in the house. Foxy is there with Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, even though he's supposed to be in Pirate's Cove because everybody hates him or something, I don't know. For whatever reason, Monty is here, despite the fact that he didn't even exist during FNAF 1. His inclusion is why I think this is a behind the scenes photo, because the same people behind this house went on to make the security breach one, so this could just be where they held the props for both houses. Also, yeah, the animatronics look really scary here. It's terrifying because it's characters you know. The security breach house I just mentioned opened up in 2024, and unlike the last one, I couldn't find any footage of it that wasn't in the form of YouTube shorts. So, unfortunately, you're all gonna have to deal with shorts editing for a bit. That's almost as scary as Las Vegas. Sadly, I will be missing a lot of content from this house because again, all footage comes from shorts, and they don't show everything. There's gotta be hyper fast editing to keep all the kiddies entertained after all. Unlike the last attraction, the sets here actually look really good. I like the Phaser Blast hallway and the Mazercise room, even if I hate Mazercise itself. The costumes have also been improved quite a bit. From the brief glimpse the short I watched showed, I think Shattered Roxy looks phenomenal, and so does Glamrock Chica, even if she does walk a bit weirdly. Speaking of Glamrock Chica, she looks genuinely traumatized in the house's facade, which is fair to be honest. I'd look like that too if a little freak pushed me into a trash compactor. There's a Glamrock Freddy statue at what I think is the start of the house, and he looks really human for some reason, which makes me uncomfortable. How could they do this to him? That's all I have to say about the houses themselves, so now I want to ask the question, are they even official? Maybe. I don't know. On one hand, it doesn't look like a Scott Cawthon approved, but on the other hand, it really looks like a Scott Cawthon approved. The best piece of evidence for this house being official is the fact that its creator literally said it was. However, there are a couple things about it that I find kind of odd. First of all, as far as I'm aware, Scott Cawthon hasn't mentioned his house at all. If it was official, wouldn't he promote it? The first house also uses the logo for the FNAF movie, as well as the intro song. If it was official, then the inclusion of these things implies that Universal had some involvement in it, and yet they too have said nothing about this thing. The same thing goes for the security breach house. The game was developed by Steelwool Studios, and yet they too have never mentioned this attraction. Then there's the fact that nobody's allowed to record in this house. Actually, according to Bandon, if a security guard sees you recording, they'll force you to delete the video. You might think that not allowing to record isn't that big of a deal. After all, Universal doesn't allow people to record houses in Halloween Horror Nights. However, they still allow the media to film videos there, and I don't think they'll force guests to delete videos if they get caught recording. This leads me to believe that the creators of these houses didn't want videos of them on the internet, just in case Scott Cawthon, Universal, or Steelwool Studios catch wind of them and sue the creators. And those are all the reasons I have as to why I believe these houses are not official. Obviously, my little conspiracy theory is not confirmed, it's just my reasoning as to why I don't think these houses are Scott Cawthon approved. Please do not take anything I just said as fact, and if anybody has any evidence as to this being official, then feel free to share it in the comments. To be honest here, I don't think any of the houses I've talked about have been genuinely fantastic. Like I said earlier, I'm sure they're really fun in person, but watching videos of them leave a lot to be desired. I don't really feel like I'm in the world of FiveNightsatFreddys, trying to avoid getting bitten by the evil Freddy Fazbear. Fazbear. Thankfully, the last houses of this video managed to make me feel those things and more because they are truly fantastic.
Storms coming, I can see the clouds. Nobody's gonna save you now.
Really quick warning here, this part of the video will contain flashing lights, so if you react poorly to that, then I suggest you click off the video right now. Thanks for making it this far in though. I've been making videos on this channel for almost 2 years now, but despite that, it's not very often that I've gone to talk about theme parks here, despite me having an unhealthy obsession with them. I mean, the 2 theme park videos I've made were about theme park games. Indigo Park isn't real, and Rambley Raccoon doesn't exist, no matter how much I want him to. But now, I can finally talk about a real-life theme park, and it's Universal Studios no less, my favorite one! First of all though, I want to quickly talk about the cancelled FNAF ride. I was planning on giving it its own proper section, but there's really not a lot to talk about here. The FNAF ride was being developed in 2016 by the Sally Corporation, who have made rides about the Angry Birds and SpongeBob. The ride would have had guests board a vehicle armed with flashlights that they would have to shine at the animatronics to scare them away. The vehicle also would have had buttons that closed doors, much like the actual game. There would have been multiple endings, 3D projections, and even real-time gaming, which is my favorite kind of gaming. Some of the animatronics featured here would have been the original 4, Withered Bonnie, Springtrap, and the Puppet. Even William Afton is here, who looks very strange in the concept art. Unfortunately, the ride never got bought by any theme parks, meaning that it never got made. Anyways, to start talking about the topic of this section, for those who aren't aware, every spooky season, Universal hosts a Halloween Horror Nights event in Orlando, Hollywood, and Japan. I'll only be focusing on Orlando and Hollywood though, because Japan's Horror Nights this year doesn't have Freddy Fazbear. They just have Chainsaw Man, and Chainsaw Man, and Chainsaw Man. Good for him. I actually wanted to have this video out back in August, but I decided to delay it just in case I was able to go to this year's Horror Nights. Unfortunately, I wasn't, so maybe I shouldn't have delayed it so much. I did go back in 2023 though, and the event was a lot of fun, not to mention very scary. And I'm not just saying that because Jimmy Fallon was there watching me at all times, although that did creep me out a bit. FNAF's Orlando house is the one I want to start off with, because I think it's easily the better of the two. Right off the bat, the house gives a great first impression, with a phenomenal recreation of the movie's pizzeria exterior. Things get even better when you actually enter the pizzeria, as you're greeted by Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica all performing on stage as Talking in Your Sleep plays. This is my favorite part of the whole house. Seeing the animatronics pull off sick dance moves on stage is so cool. It feels like Freddy Fazbear is truly real. The rest of the house is still great though. All the sets look like they came right out of the movie, and it does a great job at recreating certain events from it. That being said, I wouldn't call this house scary. On a horror scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being Security Breach and 10 being Las Vegas, I would give it like a 5. The animatronic jump scares aren't really effective because Universal can't have a big robot lunge, I guess, and there aren't many human jump scares. By the way, all of those jump scares are given by either the ghost kids or the evil robbers. Uncle Hank is in his house, that's why it's the best one. The only jump scares that managed to startle me were the cupcake ones. I don't know why this freak is given so much power in the movie universe. He's literally a prop for most of the games. This Foxy animatronic has been a run at guest, but when the house first opened, it was broken, which I think is really funny. I don't know why Foxy has such bad luck. He's not only out of order in the game, but in real life. Also, he got set on fire while they were making the first movie. That must not have been very fun. Kellen Goff voices Foxy in his house because of course he does. It wouldn't be a FNAF project without this guy showing off his insane vocal range. I'm writing this like 3 days after it was announced that he's going to be voicing Toy Freddy in the second FNAF movie. Speaking of which, MatPat is voicing Toy Bonnie in that thing. This movie will change my life.
That's perfect! Foxy! Foxy the Ferocious.
At the end of the house, Spring Bonnie shows up, but his jump scare is very lame. He just anticlimactically walks towards the guests, swings his knife, and then shovels back to his starting position. Kind of a bad way to end the house to be honest, but Spring Bonnie's inclusion is still cool, and delight that they play his theme for the movie. Moving on to the Hollywood house, it's mostly the exact same thing as the Orlando one, though there are a couple of differences. For starters, the facade seems slightly bigger, and the movie's intro song plays in the queue. It might play in the Orlando house as well, but I couldn't hear it in the POV I watched. The biggest downgrade here is that instead of having all 3 animatronics perform on stage, only Freddy is there in the Hollywood version. The faces of the ghost kids here were painted white for some reason. That's just not in the movie. Why did they do this? Unlike the Orlando house, which uses orange eyes on the animatronics, this one uses red eyes on them, and they were even used for Spring Bonnie. His eyes are supposed to be white? Boy, I really hope somebody got fired for that blunder. At the end of the house, the Living Tombstone FNAF 1 song plays, which is very cool, and I don't think that it's in the Orlando version. By the way, in Orlando, Universal has temporarily transformed the Italian restaurant Louis into Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Now, here's a little fact about me. I hate Louis. When I went there, I ate a pizza slice that was way too big, way too greasy, and way too sloppy. I felt disgusting eating that thing, and I can't believe that Freddy Fazbear is associating with Louis. The cupcake looks funny though. Overall, I think Universal did a great job with the FNAF haunted houses at Halloween Horror Nights. It really does feel like the movie come to life. One could say that they knocked it out of the park. The theme park. See, the joke here is that Universal is a theme park. In conclusion, Freddy Fazbear is cool, and I can't believe he's real now. I hope that one day a more permanent FNAF attraction is made, but I don't think that'll ever happen. Since they're working on the movies, I think the only place a ride could be made is at a Universal park, and while FNAF is popular, it is nothing compared to the big shots over there. I mean, they've got Jurassic Park, Homer Simpson, and of course, the Minions. These are all billion-dollar franchises. Despicable Me is more popular than FNAF, and it always will be. By the way, I know I titled this video FNAF's Forgotten Haunted Houses, and a Halloween Horror Nights house is absolutely not forgotten, but come on, I couldn't just skip over it. Freddy would be so disappointed in me. Well, that's all I have to say for this video, so now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go play Pokemon Legends ZA. The game hasn't actually come out yet as of writing this, so I hope it's good. Bye I guess.